Obi is a Nigerian-Italian. She's based in Singapore, and she's into the business of fashion. So Ify, nice to join us on Guardian TV. How are you, Nigerian-Italian?
I was born and raised in Italy from a Nigerian family. They moved in the early 80s to Italy. So I was born and raised in Venice, exactly. And I basically did all my life in Venice, in a very small town in Venice, Spinea. And I've been studying science for basically all my life, with always a little bit of passion for fashion, but never expressed that. And so I basically did my PhD in human molecular genetics in Italy, and then I decided to do my postdoc on cancer research. And it happens that a friend of mine was living here in Singapore, and there was a time where I was looking for a postdoc position, and I had a Skype call. That time was Skype. We're using more Skype than Zoom. Zoom is something really new. And I decided to have a look into Singapore. I found 2 or 3 different labs that they were doing super cool research projects. So I just applied, and then I got the position. So I moved in Singapore 7 years ago, thinking that I would stay just 2 years, but now they're already 7.
How were you raised? How did your parents, how did they raise you? Did they raise you in the typical Nigerian way?
I was also raised. That's part of me and part of my family, although they were living in a foreign country. So I've been always surrounded by fabrics, by Ankara, or eating all the Nigerian food. Indeed, my favorite dish on the world is egusi soup. I could go even with super spicy egusi soup, I can eat it. And then there were a lot of gatherings, on the Sundays or Saturdays, weddings, or any type of celebration. And they were always taking us with them. So I had the opportunity to live with both cultures. And so super happy about that.
You went from being a cancer researcher to a fashion designer. How did that switch, happen?
First, I never thought I would have been a designer, so that was not my dream. As I mentioned before, I studied for all my life science. The thing happened that when I moved to Singapore 7 years ago, I realized that Singapore is the perfect place for expressing the melting pot. So you can find people from everywhere, different culture, different religions. But I realized that Singapore had a big, massive problem. There were no African culture. Nobody knew about Africa, the continent, the food, the culture, the religion, nothing. And I basically decided to start with Olive Ankara because I had to fill a need that I had, which was wearing Ankara fabrics and clothes made with the Ankara. And so basically, at the beginning, I never thought about, okay, I will do something, maybe I will start a brand. I just started doing clothes for myself. Then I realized that people were asking me about the clothes, about the fabric, about the history, and friends were asking me to do clothes for them. So I decided to do a small collection just to test how the market was. And that was 2016. So at that time, I was still working as a scientist in the lab. And a year ago, I decided to step back from science because I was let's say that I ended it in a very nice way. I was able to publish my paper on the project that I was given during my postdoc. And was the time that I had to think about a new step in research, so changing, either continue with academia or go to a industry. And at the same time, the brand was growing quite well and fast. And the main reason why I decided to take that leap of faith and then move from science to be a designer full time was, one day I would like to say I tried. I don't want to have regrets. So I will prefer to say I tried and I failed rather than thinking, what if I would have? A lot of people are curious. I felt also like I need to educate people about African culture. So how can I do that? I need to give 100% of my time. And the switch was quite smooth, I have to say. I will do it again, although science is still my passion, it's still part of me. And who knows, one day maybe I will go back to science. But for now, I can see like myself in the working in the brand, because there's so many other things that need to be done, and especially in Asia where people don't really know about the African culture.
Did you have to go to a fashion school, or it's something you had maybe learned from your mom or from somewhere? How were you able to to make that quick switch?
Yeah, so my mom used to sew, and she taught me how to sew. She was doing all our clothes, my grandmother as well. So I learned from them. I remember at one point, I think I was 15 or 14, I asked my mom to do a dress in a particular way because I didn't really like the childish version that she was doing for us. And then she said, okay, now you do yours, because I know that you know how to do it. So I learned from her. And when I decided to start here in Singapore with Olive Ankara, I went to do some courses, just to more like sewing courses, just to understand whether I know the pattern, I know how to do a dress, which at the end I was able to do it. But just to make sure that I know all the steps and to understand from the scratch till the end how a dress is made. And then some self learning that I did by myself.
Like you said, Ankara is foreign to Singapore. African culture is foreign to Singapore. How has the acceptance been?
Well, because they are surrounded by different cultures, surrounded by people coming from different cultures with different religions. Singapore people are quite open-minded, and the acceptance was really good. I was unexpected, actually. As I mentioned, I started with a very capsule collection just to see how was the response. I think also this is also the reason why I keep moving forward, because this really motivates me. When people come in, they really want to know what is behind. And I'm just there to tell them and educate them.
How much of Singapore is reflected in Ankara that you make?
All my journey, I will say. So my heritage, the African prints, then some styles, twisted Italian styles, and then, for example, I have a small collection made of chomsams. Chomsam is a classic Chinese dress with the mandarin collar. So I fused the chomsam design with a little bit of Italian twist in the style, and then the African fabrics to create something new, which is a blend of the three different cultures. Other thing that I'm doing to fuse like the two different cultures is fusing the Japanese culture with the African fabric. I created what I call Afro Mono. So basically they are kimono with Japanese cut with African fabrics.
Italy is one of the fashion capitals of the world. So how much of Italy have you also infused into your business?
Well, into my designs, definitely is 33%. I would say 33 is actually no, the fabric is more than 33. Probably 40 is the fabric, and then 30 and 30 from Italy designs, and then 30 from Singapore or Asian influence. So yeah, I think like all my inspiration is also coming from my background, so also from Italian design and Italian style, but also from travels, photography, art. I draw inspiration from everywhere, and it's difficult to say which one is more represented here. I will say Africa because of the fabric, because it's the first thing that people will see, but there are also other influences.
Any Nigerian, designer you're following?
There's one that is called Lisa Folaiwa. Like, I love what she does. I mean, she's more luxury, but what she delivers, like contemporary garments, and then the fact that she used luxury prints and modern tailoring techniques. I really love what she does.
You cater more to women than men. Why is that?
Just because it was much easier for me to start with the women's collection, women's wear. I found more inspiration on that. My whole idea is to design modern clothes that will allow women to express the boldest version of themselves. And for men, I'm not so familiar with the men's, collection or lines. I do have a little bit, like every year I release a unisex collection, which can be worn by him and her, with more like men cut. But I wouldn't say that I'm focusing on men. And it was much easier for me to work on the women's wear.
What's the fashion scene like in Singapore? Do you have fashion shows? Do you have regularly?
Of course, like mine is quite completely different from the rest, so that's why it stands out more than the rest. But it's nice because more and more now they're trying to bring to elevate, to enhance the fashion scene here in Singapore by doing small events. Last year, for example, I participated to an event made by this group called Artisan. So they were trying to elevate fashion and art together. And lately, I just participated to the very first Singapore virtual fashion show. So it was 9 days of runway with sustainable and small designers. I mean small brands like mine, based in Singapore and then based in Manila and Australia, I think.
Let's talk about the Nigerian community. Is there a huge Nigerian community in Singapore? And if there is one, have they been able to accept your brand?
Community is not too big, but it's not even small. I don't remember how many Nigerians are here in Singapore right now. I don't remember the numbers, but the community is here. And it was so cool because in 2019, during the Nigerian Independence Day, I got the honor to receive an award. Because of the brand and because of my studies in science.
What kind of clientele do you see often come to your store?
I would say that 65% are Asian. Yes. Then I have Caucasian and then Africans to show to people that what is our culture, educate them, and then they will embrace it and they will also enhance the culture because they will spread their love for for our culture to other people.
How has the pandemic impacted on your business, knowing that people would rather shop online than go to a physical store to purchase? How have you been able to?
Even before the lockdown, I was planning a photo shoot for my next collection, and I just did like few masks where here were not mandatory yet, and I just did few masks for myself, for my husband, and for some friends, and the mask for the photo shoot. So I remember that the photo shoot, I took these pictures with the girls wearing the mask, but I didn't post them, I didn't make them public because everything was still very sensible, and I felt like it was too much. But then I remember just before Singapore went into the circuit breaker, which is aka lockdown, a client of mine was begging me to do masks. So when the lockdown started, I remember that I basically turned down my showroom into my warehouse. And my idea was to start looking for all my leftovers and think what to do with the leftovers. So I thought, like, why maybe I should do face mask, and so I could use my leftover, which is one of our main pillars to be sustainable, is the zero waste. So just try to reduce the waste as much as possible. And we started doing the face mask in the showroom. I started doing the face mask in the showroom, and also because another thing is that I wanted really to bring happiness and joys to people, into people's life, because we were starting to go into a darkness of the lockdown, and I felt like you need to feel like more happy, more joyful. We're doing masks, so we had to, of course, push a little bit online, but not too much. A lot of people came back to us because of word of mouth, which I think is the most powerful tool, and is free. And so that was the way we survived during to the showroom, because they heard about us or they bought the mask, and now they want to know the story, they want to know, they want to try the clothes, and they want to feel better. So they just come back to the showroom. If anyone that is listening wants to see more about Olive Ankara, they can go to the website, which is www.oliveankara.com, or Instagram oliveankara.com. Hi, my name is Ify. I'm the founder and designer of Olive Ankara, a women's wear fashion brand based in Singapore. And now you're watching the GuardianTV.